Hello, and welcome to Rosalora. If this is your first time visiting the channel, then it's so lovely to meet you. And if you're returning, it's so wonderful to have you back. My name is Rosa, I'm a digital artist, and today I'm working on a redesign of Annie Del Vecchio. Annie isn't exactly a normal girl. She was, or is, a magical girl. She is a TTRPG character for the system Glitterhearts. It's a powered by the apocalypse style game. A lot of people know and recognize Masks, and I would call Glitterhearts Masks' cousin. Masks' sister. So if you like Masks, which is a game all about being a teenage superhero, then you might also enjoy Glitterhearts, which is based on the archetypes of the magical girl genre. Now, Annie, otherwise known as Vivian Blackheart, which is her magical girl persona, is a little bit different than most magical girls on the scene. And that is because Annie is a villain. I wanted to do something a little bit different for the game that I had been invited to. The conceit is this. It's been 15 years since the big battle at the end of the world. All the magicals got together fighting off this destruction, and in the aftermath, all of their powers disappeared. It's been 15 years since the incident, and suddenly powers have started re-manifesting, notably for a couple of magicals in the campaign. Now, a lot can happen in 15 years, a lot can change. You can become a completely different person, you can sink into your old ways, and unfortunately, Annie hasn't exactly had it easy. Back in the day, she was a little bit of a loner, and that hasn't changed very much. She used to have a special companion, a little raven named Trace, but he is no longer, as all of the magical girl companions disappeared after the terrible thing at the end of the world. There's a lot of different ways to cope with being a regular person after feeling so extraordinary, and Annie just didn't cope very well. Her family wasn't the most supportive to start with. She was already a bit antisocial, but she's trying to make her way. She works as a manager for a local warehouse and tries to keep out of the view of regular society. She never came forward as a magical after the big event, though many magicals did, gaining lovely celebrity status and carrying on as sort of mythos figures after the terrible event at the end of the world. Being a magical villain, Annie would have had quite the rap sheet, so she never thought that it would be very wise for her to come forward after everything that had happened. Maybe things would have been different if she could have gotten some assistance or help, but her thought process was somebody who was a villain would always be considered a villain. When her powers remanifest, everybody knows that means that something has gone wrong. A magical contacts her and a couple others, saying that something has gone wrong and that something needs to be investigated, but they go missing before they can all meet up. And so an unlikely group of magicals are now back on the case. Vivian doesn't exactly get along with everybody, as she is sardonic and a chain smoker, and definitely the cynical one of the group, but she does want to help in her own unique way. And from jump, the thing that I have always found difficult about Annie as a character is being able to balance her outfit and design. Back in the day when I was playing Annie more regularly, I did have a couple of designs for her, but I never fully graduated to redesigning her adult form in a way that felt meaningful. So I wanted to revisit Annie and try to see what I could do for her now that I'm a bit outside of the campaign and I have the chance to do what I can for her. My first step was putting together a big board of noir inspiration. I wanted to base her off of the silent film stars and then later stars of the black and white era, but especially Annie Mae Wong, which is where her name comes from. Problem is, the silhouettes and styles of the noir era and aesthetic don't mix very well with the magical girl style. Magical girls are poofy, their skirts are really wide, they have lots of ribbons and bows. The noir style is much more conservative and very formal. Lots of coats, lots of high collars. If you see jewelry, they're likely to be pearls or simple diamonds. And there's not a lot of bows in particular. So it's always been a challenge, especially when I was playing her originally, trying to find the right look for the character. My primary inspiration originally in the campaign with her design was Humphrey Bogart, and while I love the look of the design, it didn't quite feel enough like a magical girl in order to fulfill the conventions of the genre. And at the same time, it didn't quite feel committed enough to the noir aesthetic to fulfill the archetype that I was aiming for. With revisiting Annie's design, I was hoping to redefine her silhouette, give her textures that made sense, and be able to unite both her magical girl side and her noir side. Though I think that the design that I landed on ultimately feels a little bit more noir than magical girl, I do really like the textures that are at play. Annie's black and white look is integral to her character. When she is in magical girl mode, she is actually in grayscale, which is one of my favorite things about her design overall. And even though I had to scale back a little bit on the ribbons and bows, I do think that I'm okay with that. After all, Annie isn't a little girl anymore. And if she's going to be solving mysteries as an adult, then she's going to have a little bit more of an adult look. I hope that you've enjoyed this glance into Annie and her story, and that you've enjoyed the art along the way. Forcing myself to play around with different concepts was definitely a lovely challenge for me, and revisiting a character that I genuinely adore but feel like got the short end of the stick design-wise was really nice. I like this character even if she is quite mean, and I think that she still makes a lovely villain. I'd like to thank my patrons who helped me make art, but especially Banjo, Confocal Clips, Deator, and Firepit. You all are the best. And of course, you. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit like and subscribe. You can click the video on the screen if you'd like to see something else. And of course, you can support me on Patreon. And remember, it's all gonna be okay. I'll see you next time.